Happy Tuesday, everyone, on a 3-day week. It's going to be a good week. So, I know that I had said something about us taking the test tomorrow. I have a new plan, and we don't have to do this. If you don't like this idea, you can tell me tomorrow. I'll have the test ready to go in case you guys decide as a class. But here's my new plan. Today, I want you to utilize the time after this quadratic formula sheet, after I've gone over all these problems. I want you to utilize the class time that you have to go through the review. Okay? I want you to use the time. That means I don't want you sitting around talking, being distracted, being loud, third period. Um, but I want you to use the time after we go over this quadratic formula to go through the review for the test. I have left an answer key, and you are welcome to come and check it as you're working on it. You're welcome to come and look at it at the end of class just to double check to see that you did your work correctly. But the plan is that I come in tomorrow, Wednesday, and I answer any question that you have. Like if you struggled with something or you'd like me to go over something, I'll utilize class time to do that. If you feel like we have enough time to take the test and you want to go ahead and take the test, then we'll do that on Wednesday. If there's not a lot of questions and you guys want to jump right in, then I will have the test printed, copied, ready to roll tomorrow. If not, we'll utilize the class to review, go over the questions that you do have, the ones that you'd like me to go over a little bit more thoroughly, and then we'll take the test on Thursday. So both are options, okay? Both are options. So again, I'll let you guys kind of decide. I think it is something that probably a good idea to maybe discuss just real quickly amongst yourselves and make that decision, once we go over this. But I want you to get your quadratic formula worksheet out. Like I said, I want to go through these. I'm not going to go through all of them because that would be probably quite annoying, but I do want to go through a handful. So I'm going to do 4 of them. I'm going to do 1, 2, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 4, 5. I think those look like the ones. Yeah, I'm going to do 1, 2, 4, 5. So here we go. Okay. Number 1, right off the bat, you see that everything is on one side. So like we were doing the other day when we were working on this, I like to make sure and name my variables. Okay, A, B, and C. So A is 1, B is 12, and C is my constant, -8. All right, so we're ready to plug this in. So x equals, and remember I told you the quadratic formula will be given on the test, -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, and all of that is divided by 2 times a. All right, so we're just plugging it right into the formula. So -12, we're going to leave alone. Remember I told you I want you to leave the radical and just type in the value that's underneath it. So go to your calculator, type in 12 squared minus 4 times 1 times -8. And of course, you get 176, which does not look familiar to me as a perfect square. And then on the bottom, we've got 2. So I know that 176 is not a perfect square. You can check it if you'd like. Hopefully you already did this homework, so you have checked it. But 176 is not a perfect square. So again, divide that by 2, and then start checking your perfect squares. Okay, so that's what, 88? So don't try any perfect square above that number. If you start working down, it takes a minute to get there. Okay, 81 doesn't work. 64 does not work. 49 doesn't work. 25 doesn't work. But we get to it at 16. 16 goes in there 11 times. So 16 is the biggest perfect square that goes into 176 11 times. So because 16 is a perfect square, it gets to escape as a whole number 4. Again, we've talked about that quite a bit over the last couple of weeks. Well, actually last week. So here's what we actually have now. We've got -12 plus or minus 4 square root of 11 over 2. Again, when we were doing some of these the other day, we said, hey, look, this and this whole numbers are both divisible by 2. So we're going to actually go ahead and simplify this out. Since I wasn't able to get rid of everything, we're going to leave the answer written like this. Negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6, plus or minus 4 divided by 2 is 2, square root of 11. So negative 6 plus or minus 2 square root of 11. Hopefully that's what you got. Number 2, of course, there's one thing we need to do. We need to move that 3 over, so I'm going to subtract the 3. So A, x squared coefficient is negative 2. B, my x coefficient is 7. And C, my constant is negative 3. So here we go. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a, negative 2, times c, negative 3, is all divided by 2 times a. All right, so let's do some cleanup here. We got negative 7 plus or minus the square root of, I'm going to type in 7 squared minus 4 times negative 2 times negative 3. And when I did that, I got 25. And that is over negative 4. All right. So again, this one, I don't need to break it down like I did the last one. Okay, we know the square root of 25. So this is actually negative 7 plus or minus 5 over negative 4. So we're going to be able to simplify these answers. So here it is. Negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2. And negative 2 divided by negative 4 is positive 1/2, or 0.5 if you'd like. The other one, of course, is negative 7 minus 5. And negative 7 minus 5 is negative 12. And negative 12 divided by negative 4 is positive 3. So our two answers that we got using quadratic formula are 1/2 and positive 3. Okay? Now I said I wasn't going to number 3, so here's the answers on number 3 real quick. X equaled 1.25. Sorry. That would also be equivalent to 5/4 if you got that instead. And then also x equals 0. Okay? Number 4. I need to get everything on one side. So 3x squared plus 5x minus 8 equals 0. So here we go. A equals 3, B equals 5, and C equals negative 8. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared, 5 squared, minus 4 times a, 3, times c, negative 8, and all of that is divided by 2 times a. So here we go. We're going to finish this thing up, clean it up, negative 5 plus or minus the square root of, going to type this in, and once again, I end up with a pretty nice number, 121. And that's over 2 times 3, which is 6. Again, it's a nice number because it is a perfect square, right? Square root of 121 is 11. So here we have negative 5 plus or minus 11 over 6. So we can come up with these two answers. So here we are. Negative 5 plus 11. That's 11 minus 5. That's 6. 6 divided by 6, of course, is 1. So there's one of my answers. And the other one is negative 5 minus 11, which is negative 16. And if you divide negative 16 by 6, you get negative 2.6 repeating. So you could either, whoa, I don't know what just came out of my mouth there. You could have either written negative 2.67 or negative 16 over 6. It rolled across the room. Negative 16 over 6 would reduce to what? Negative 8/3. Okay? All right, so there you have number 4. Number 5, again, a little different because it has no x term. Everything is on one side. So we know A, negative 12. We know that B is nothing, 0. And C, my constant, is 21. So here we go. X equals negative B plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a, negative 12, times c, 21, and all of that is divided by 2 times a, negative 12. So clean up. Remember, I don't really need the 0, so it's just plus or minus up top with my square root. My goodness, I dropped my pencil again. And this time I have no idea where it went. I can't make this up. I dropped my pencil. Don't know where it went. I'm going to pause the video. Okay, the Apple Pencil has been found. Alright, so when I typed all this in, 0 squared minus 4 times negative 12 times positive 21, you got a pretty big number, 1008. And that, of course, is over 2 times negative 12, which is negative 24. Now, 1008, that's a pretty big number. Even when you divide it by 2, that's 504. So you got to kind of process quite a few perfect squares. Now, again, starting at 504 and working our way down, when we wrote our list, we didn't even get to 500. We got to 400, and that was 20 squared. So, I mean, you would have to go pretty far. So I'm trying to get out of here. So what I would do in this case, and again, if you've already done this problem, you're gonna know exactly what it is. But in the future, if you're doing this, I would encourage you just to go like this: 504 or 1008 divided by 21 squared. That's not it. 1008. Well, actually, what is 21 squared? Let me see what that is. 21 squared is 441. If I went to 22 squared, 484. 23 squared is 529. So that's over. So work your way down from this. Okay, 484, you can check it. It does not work, I don't think. Well, I know it doesn't because I know the answer. So if you work your way on down, you'll finally get to your 400 where we've been. Like we have that whole list from 400 down. If you work it down, you have to try them all until you get to the number 144. So the biggest perfect square that goes into 1008 is 144. And it goes in there a total of 7 times. So the 144 is going to escape as a whole number 12, and the 7 gets trapped inside. So what I have in my final answer, actually almost my final answer, is plus or minus 12 square root of 7 over negative 24. So first let's talk about that plus or minus negative. We ran into that with a couple of examples in our notes. Remember, I told you it's like that plus or minus swallows it up because positive negative is negative and negative negative is positive. So it's like it just kind of swallows it. So we're going to have plus or minus out in front. And then we just focus on our numbers. 12 over 24 is 1/2. So that leaves 1 up top with the square root of 7 and 2 in the bottom. So plus or minus square root of 7 over 2 is your answer. Okay? So again, that was kind of a fiasco with the Apple Pencil on that problem. But anyhow, number 6 was the last one. If you worked it all the way out correctly, you got 2 answers here. X equals negative 6 and x equals 2. Now I've left that note sheet on my desk as well, that answer sheet. So if you didn't get the 2 that I worked out and you want to double check what happened, feel free to go up to Ms. Bowles and ask her, and I'm sure she'll let you see it. But anyways, that's all the recording today. It looks like it's only going to be about 15 minutes long. So you'll have the rest of this time to work on your review. Please take advantage of it. Please don't make me come back. And Ms. Bowles has said that you guys were hard to deal with because you were talking too much and you weren't giving the review some time. So Remember, I got answer keys for the quadratic formula. I got answer keys for the review. You guys need to decide whether or not you want to take the test tomorrow or you want to utilize that time to ask me questions and then review a little bit more and then be ready to take the test on Thursday. Okay? Have a good day.